We talked about how Monki is, this is his team. So he wants to be the priority pick, I got to feel like, for WE out the gate, as Taeyoon's actually going to draw an Ezreal ban early on here and probably going to cash in some draft points. I can't tell you where you get to use them, but you got them because the Rumble comes through as the B1. And, hey, I get some too, I guess, if the Xin Zhao gets locked in here for LGD. Why not?
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. We've never seen that rotation ever before. Not in the LCK, not in the LEC, not in the LPL. Never before. Obviously, Xin Zhao is a very, very important champion when it comes to the early mid-game skirmishes, and together with Taliyah, it just becomes a lethal weapon, especially when you get to pin down your opponents, right? So I'm expecting for WE to have something like the Pantheon. I think it really does complement Rumble on his side lane, and particularly his ultimate later on in the team fights.
This is XQW's favorite champion, though, if he locks these here. Also, Trouble, I feel painful having to say this out loud. I'm sorry that we've misled you, LPL viewers. That is Climber playing jungle. Nayo is not starting the series. There's the reaction. I was waiting for it. This is Climber. So
jump scare.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I was not ready for that. If our pre-show graphics told you anything, we were not prepared for that. We're gonna have to move forward with it. Climber still fits into like this prototype of one of those up-and-coming jugglers. He was one of the most hyped ones coming into 2025 for LGD. Obviously, wasn't able to get a lot of success for LGD, got benched, but I guess in that vacation time we talked about, LGD are confident rolling him out for what I would argue is their most important series of the year so far. But we're seeing a ton of just S-tier Trouble champions coming off the board. The Taliyah goes back over WE. Varus comes for Taeyoon, and Bessa also squeaked through the bans. I mean, Sasa has got to be a huge fan of just locking this one in, and will.
I am a huge fan of what WE are doing so far. They've got priority central in every single lane. You know what that says to me? When your jungler has a 3-lane priority, they are the happiest person on earth. And since WE play through their jungle, making sure that you guarantee pushing lanes at every single moment for Monki is going to be absolutely huge. I feel like things like, since the Pantheon is no longer in there, we have seen him pull things out like the Viego coming through from the side for Monki right here. So we are looking for more of the strong bruisery type of champions that can take those 1v1s in the jungle.
Gotta shout out this respect ban here from LGD because as we continue to talk about Monki, he has these unique lethal champions he's played. The Trundle is one of them. He loves to go for that Trundle. So I like that ban already coming across. Yeah, good shout out, right? So I would expect LGD to maybe just... I was expecting maybe just 2 straight Monki jungle bans, but they're going to take the Braum off the board as Shaoye loses access to his Kalista and the Kaisa. So, see, are they going to give R5 over to Shaoye on the AD carry? I would have expected this to be support R5.
I think they're waiting to see whether there's going to be something like a tank potentially locked into the jungle for Team WE.
Okay.
Because you have 2 options, I feel like, here. You have the Misfortune and you have the Jhin. And I feel like if there is not much threat towards the Misfortune, you definitely want to take it because it does really, not skill check, but like AD check the Varus in terms of push down the bot lane. Stat check, yeah, thank you very much. Yeah. Or Jhin to possibly like set up later on for like the Xin, the Azir, and the Ambessa during those team fights.
Trouble, we're already getting that champion you love on Vampire. They like the Renata angle here into the Ambessa, the Xin Zhao, and the Nautilus. So I think it gets pretty good value here. And that does force Monki to go onto a tank jungler like you were talking about with the Skarner up. Why not grab that one? And now we get to figure out what Shaoye wants to do with this R5 pick. There's now a tank Skarner to play into. You're going to go for the Lucian without an Enchanter. That is a gutsy call. I mean, we've not seen very often, at least so far this split.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be the case. I think Jhin Misfortune is shouting a lot louder. Oh, unless they want to do... They want to take,
new tech.
A page out of the LCK spellbook right there and bring out the Senna. I'm just going to say, WE, they have a very, very active team in the early game that's going to definitely take control. So, Renata Varus get priority over the Nautilus lane any day. Taliyah is really good at pushing into the Azir as you can dash into the rocks to take those very early aggressive game trades. And obviously, Rumble can also push into the Ambessa early as well.
Yep.
And then you've got Monki that is looking for those setups in lanes. But when you have that priority, you can also, like, transition the Taliyah or take the Renata and enter the jungle. So I feel like LGD have a really, 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 really good 45-minute plus draft going on for
100%.
themselves.
Yeah, they do. Here's the question I want to ask you that you're going to have limited time to answer, Trouble. Actually, I'll ask you that question on the Rift. Because with these play-ins here, the playoffs here, quickly, let's throw them up, Red. Caster predictions. This is where we are all leaning on this series, and only the great Rafa believes in LGD. Trouble, quickly, because I do not believe I see your lovely logo up here. How are you feeling about this series? What's your official prediction? Now, you get the added edge that you have the draft, Game 1 draft in front of you, too. So.
Okay. I think I'm going to go with a 3-0 right here for WE.
Oh, okay.
A little bit, I get it, a little bit bold, but I feel like they had so much growth. They played against such incredible teams, and I don't know what to expect from an LGD that had almost like a month break from official games. A whole new patch came in, and also, you know, Climber suddenly just, well, I won't say climbed up the ranks again, no pun intended, but he truly did. When now he did really show a very good face for LGD, so I just don't know what to expect.
That is fair. We do not know the expectation of LGD. At least we're starting to understand that they definitely have a good read on the meta with this Senna pick coming through. But it's going to be the Jayos coming through for the first time. LGD on stage in almost a month to this very day, with them trying to get back to Group Ascend, stay alive for the playoffs, and send the team that forced them into Group Nirvana down there alone. As we get onto the Rift here. And here's the questions I was going to ask you really quickly, Trouble, that I got kind of my answers to. I hate to tell you, but we're getting that on-hit Varus from Taeyoon next to an Enchanter instead of a more aggressive lane setup. Yeah. And we are going to see that new Senna that people feel comfortable actually farming in and building more crit and scale-oriented like you were talking about.
Yes, he's playing more like a traditional AD carry now, right? And I feel like Taeyoon was... I feel like there's a lot of damage from the side of Team WE, specifically with Aaliyah and the Rumble, that you can actually afford to go for the lethality, the lethal tempo Varus right here, especially since you're playing into, you know, the Zins and the Nautilus. So you have that sort of to fall back onto a champion that's scaling into the late game and can take care of more tanky sort of champions.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it a stack, loyal viewers. I have been running this Senna in my own solo queue games, and it is quite busted, but not in this phase of the game. Senna is still one of the weakest marksmen in the early phase into the bottom lane. So right out the gate, Vampire and Taeyoon get a pretty sizable chunk into Shaoye. Dredgelight's going to come back through for YCX. Actually wanted to push the tempo into that Enchanter bottom lane, but does have to burn the heal for his transgressions. That'll be Taeyoon and Vampire with control of the bottom lane for level 2 going forward. They've got the push going in their favor, as they do have Monki, as we now spot, clearing top down. And mirrored by Climber, who, again, a lot of the spotlight is going to be on this series, because Nayo had a very successful run in Group Nirvana with LGD after he came into Climber. So a ton of questions on how much impact can Climber have. Is these trades for the WE bottom lane looking even more lucrative by the spell rotation? Taeyoon down below about 25%. But that was kind of to be expected, Trouble, that Shaoye would have a bit of issues trying to set up around this bottom lane and farm into that double range.
Yeah, and also don't think that Slayer wasn't letting me speak, guys. I just had an order come in, so I had to pick it up. You're a real one. Thank you so much for covering right here. We're keeping it real as a...
You missed a heal out of YCX, by the way.
Side. They're looking for a dive, but Climber's like behind them.
Okay, Climber reading Monki's pathing really well here. He's going to have to use that Ixtal's impact to get over the wall, or more so through it. A good start here for LGD, thwarting that aggressive Monki style of jungle that we've been hyping up so much.
Yeah, and I feel like you see again what we talked about, right? The priority top, the priority mid, the priority bot. Monki can get to do whatever he wants. At this point, even if he wanted to double scuttle, he can. He can take the Scuttle Crab over on the bottom of the map. As you can see, I hope Climber does really enter River right here and takes the Scuttle Crab, or this is going to be gone as well. And that's exactly what he's going to do. But this is what happens when you go to jungle with triple lane priority that was literally solidified for him in picks 1, 2, and 3 respectively, as Climber's looking top lane.
Here we go. Cube. Climber's first gank in months here for LGD is going to produce a flash out of Cube. So that's the Rumble flash down, but Monki is double dipping on this bot side. Good dredge line comes out from YCX to stun him. Vampire's taking up the turret with the bailout, but doesn't get the assist on the kill down onto YCX. So Shaoye and Taeyoon grab the first 2 kills of this series.
And I think now you're forced to actually stay around to make that commitment in time really work. Taeyoon and Monki have to go again.
Oh, they're going again, but the snare lands onto Taeyoon. Good flash away from Shaoye to get around for the turret. He has the turret aggro to pick up the kill. One more auto short. Shaoye completely outplays the dive and hits the Q on the stack. That is a wondrous play from your LGD marksman.
No, that was fantastic coming through from Shaoye. The fact that he used the invisibility to angle the creeps, to hit Monki blind with the Q through the minions. What a fantastic, fantastic play right here from Shaoye. And what a disaster on the other side from Team WE. We said that because Vampire died right there and Senna gets a kill, they had to further commit into this dive that ended up in a disaster.
Shaoye,
might get one here. Wait.
We were hyping you up so well,
Taeyoon,
and you recall out of position, and they give Taeyoon the kill. Yeah, you called it out. He does have to burn the ghost, but that is a shutdown because at that point, Shaoye was a 3-0 Senna, as we've got to get a look back at this dive.
All right, let's watch this one more time. Again, they had committed so much time, and they know that Zinza's on the top side of the map. Just to make it worth, because Shaoye got the initial kill onto Senna, they have to recommit to the dive. But the root lands, which means that Varus cannot walk forward, and Monki still engages. While you've got Varus tanking the tower, it was a very, very, very badly executed dive from Team WE. They forced the issue, they got punished. 3 kills on Senna and boots in the inventory already.
Yeah, so I know you missed it, Trouble, but I was kind of talking about how Senna lanes are usually very slow, and you have to sacrifice a lot.
Oh, I hate them. I do not like Senna.
Yeah. I mean, I hated it while I've been playing it a lot of these recent patches, and I can tell you for a fact I have never been 3-0 at 5 minutes on Senna. So this is very uncharted territory for many Senna players, and Shaoye is going to be comfortable with it. Gets the Swifty boots early, like that a lot. You just need that mobility to try and skate around and play from space as much as possible. But despite the woes of the dive topside, the gold is going to stay pretty even. But the priority through from Climber is going to come onto this first dragon. You'll pick that one about 6.5 minutes once he gets this smite through. So Climber, as we continue to spotlight him, getting his first action in such a long time, Trouble, is utilizing the pressure of this bot side to grab that neutral.
He's
but
not been seen.
Monki
He's not been seen.
has not been spotted. You called that out, and he's going to get hit by a dredge line again in the middle of his Ixtal's impact. They have the Senna ult to come across here for Shaoye. Heal comes down for YCX, but a couple more shots from Taeyoon will find the kill. Shaoye has to force a retreat, but here comes Climber trying to make up without their support present. Gonna get the whip, comes sliding on to Taeyoon through Vampire. Gets the first kill. Now Monki and Vampire are completely separated. Another great snare lands for Shaoye. The Ixtal's impact though from Monki is pristine. Gets the stun on the wall, but he's gonna dive under their turret again to trade himself with Shaoye. Climber makes sure the kill lead still stays in the hands of LGD.
What is going on? We're 7 minutes in, 9 kills. All of them have been towards the bot side of the map. They want to shut down the Senna, but Shaoye keeps picking up kills. 200 gold in the lead right now. You could say it's not very massive, but they keep trying to put Taeyoon on a leading seat right there. And you see the answers from Climber keep coming through. LGD have the scaling when it comes to that late game. They've got the Azir, they've got the Senna. There's going to be so much range that W are going to have to close in on those champions. And it's going to become unbearable. And for now, Senna's pretty happy. 4 kills, 42 CS, about 100, 200 gold up. You know, you're falling behind. You mentioned it yourself as well. In the lane versus Varus and Renata. So to be able to sort of close the gap on the gold with those kills, it's kind of like a gold given to Senna.
And also, the cherry on top, right, is with all that skirmishing, Shaoye is nearing 30 souls already at this 8-minute mark, which I know we got the upgraded generation of these souls coming across, but to get this close to 40 before 10 minutes is huge for that scaling, and just talking about the raw range, and most importantly, in trouble with the new Senna, the crit chance you start to garner as you hit those 20 soul thresholds.
Yeah, absolutely. She does become a tank killer as well, so Monki's not going to be too happy further down the line with this. With the Skarner in his hands. He's looking for that Senna again. This is unbelievable. Just don't look in your closet. Do not look in your closet because
this is borderline bullying. Monki is just always hunting this YCX and Shaoye led bottom lane, but again, the dredge lines are ruining Monki's engages as he's just chomping down on turret shots this game like they're candy, and boy, do they taste bitter.
Please, like, it's not like it's a surprise that Nautilus is around. Nautilus is in vision. If Nautilus is there, he can Q you out of you dashing through the wall. The engage is obviously not going to land. He burns the flash. He burns the ult. Monki is so over-fixated right now on shutting down Shaoye that he's sort of like underlooked other parts of the map, like playing together with Talia, playing towards the Rumble as well. So I wonder if this is going to come back to bite them on the lower bottoms right there, because Team WE, again, they just seem so fixated onto playing around Shaoye, and now Shaoye even has his flash available for the next plays.
I definitely think it's going to come back to bite them, because ideally out of draft, like this lane for WE was supposed to be the reliable one that Monki wasn't going to have to worry about. Varus, Renata, and Ascena Nautilus, they should have constantly gotten pushed, gotten a farm lead at the very least, if not more. Yeah, I mean, Monki has just been laser focused on the spot side, and we're just waiting for this Talia link up to finally come across. I mean, Monki and Karis are now level 8 and 7 respectively, and they have yet to link up on a play in this game that they're still very much in control of, thanks to majorly the gold lead that Cube has been able to recruit on that top side, and also sneakily the amount of gold that Vampire has gotten on these assists with all the fighting going down that bot side.
I will say, the fact that Climber has to be on alert mode for Shaoye means that Cube's flash never got punished when it got taken away from Climber earlier on. And I also see a rocket belt coming through from Cube, which is something that we don't necessarily see so much on the Rumble. It's usually the double burn item coming through, especially when you have to deal with tanks. But right here, I feel like the mobility, the extra damage that you get through, closing the gap, which we mentioned between you and champions like the Senna, like the Azir, might come in handy later on for the Rumble.
We also got the Leandri's nerfs, right, on this live patch. Just hold on. Karis looking to finally find some impact with the seismic shove and the unraveled earth, combining for so much raw damage into Climber, trying to run away, but Monki is on the hunt, trying to see if he can throw the stone at him. The Crescent Guard comes out, but what a great Weaver's Wall from Karis. Climber now has to quit his flash to get away, and Monki, teasing an impale angle, is not going to commit it onto XQW. They'll just take over that jungle. The Climber has no chance to try and stop.
Honestly, that was a fantastic escape right here from Climber, using the W onto the Gromp, dashing into it, then sort of treading across the Talia wall with his ultimate, and then flashing over once the W from Talia comes through. That was a great escape right there from Climber. Does have to burn his flash and his ultimate, which means that for the next fight to come, which is going to be most likely that Dragon, WE should have advantage around that territory.
I'm perplexed on how we've seen so much of Monki, and at some point he just casually took the 3 grubs up top. When did that happen? I don't know, but just I guess Monki's just everywhere. Kind of how it works with Team WE when they came away with 7 wins in Group Ascent, knocking down opponents like Thunder Talk, FPX, and NIP.
Okay, that is illegal.
5-game win streak. Oh,
that is borderline illegal.
Oh, and Vampire knows it, flashing forward, but does not get the hostile takeover on anybody. XQW uses the Sand Soldiers to buy some space, but Monki has the Impale, but XQW, quicker to the F key, gets over it, but Taeyoon has a flash of his own, hits the Chains of Corruption, the Rock of WE, getting them another kill to even up the count.
Okay, I feel like WE are like those teenagers that when you tell them no, they're gonna do it even more. Kind of deal. Yep. Like right there, them not being able to contest for a Dragon with Climber is an ultimate and a flash down should not be allowed. They lose the Dragon and then they commit their flashes forward. Both Vampire, Taeyoon, they commit their ults as well, like 3 ults down. Monki. And right here, they're trying to take a tower that doesn't belong to them.
Oh my god, this guy just loves turret shots. Monki is down to 10% HP because he takes aggro from Climber. And oh boy, look who's coming up on the top side, Sasi. Wonder if he likes an angle jumping in here with the public execution. Looking potentially to set up a dive, but they at least get the teleport out of Cube, so top laners match TPs. Everything fizzles out.
Nah, I'm pretty sure just WE are like the equivalent of teenagers throwing tantrums when you tell them no. They were like, oh, we lost the Dragon, we're just going to push that tower. It does, but everyone's resetting. We cannot take this tower. We cannot overstay. They've got extra items. Doesn't matter. We're just going to push that tower. And I feel like...
Don't tell me no. I'm doing it.
Yeah, you can't tell me what to do. I know better than you. WE, I think, need to slow down. They need to take a deep breath and actually properly set up for objectives and play around them. Again, I have not seen Karis around neutral objective. I've not seen the Talia wall other than the chase that went on to Climber. Like, they have the setup. They have the CC. They've got a very good, well-rounded team. You've got a Rumble and an item and a half. He was the first one to even complete an item. Use those advantages that you've got in the chat, leverage them to take those early game leads. They are about 1,500 gold up to LGD, but let's not forget that LGD scales so damn well into that late game.
Right. So as much as this is a good lead for now, it needs to be compounded on. And a lot of it is thanks to those grubs. They're getting so much value. I gotta think they're a main reason why. You can see it in the turret plate. They just showed it 6 turret plates to 1 for WE. That's a ton of gold that really helped them get this lead. With the grubs and priority topside, they knocked down a tier 1 turret to get first brick and stay competitive for those feats of strength going forward. And the items are really starting to come through for those WE carries as well. Markily, you get the Blade of the Rune King done on Taeyoon. Point out the Rocket Belt. It's Climber. He knows trouble is afoot here right now. Not just on the cast, afoot in the jungle as well, so he'll dodge out on that Fog of War escapade.
Yeah. I think it was very obvious right there since the top tower fell. I was about to say that is a very good advantage for Team WE, specifically because the Herald is spawning and Cube's under attack.
Chicken. Yeah, here we go. First ult down is Sasi. Not going to get the equalizer out of Cube. Oh, there it is. He's going to cut down the wave. So there's the Ultimate Chicken game completed. The real action in the topside river with WE starting up this Rift Herald. Neither top laner has teleport. This is a straight up 4v4, but XQW is trying to take a reset window right here. He's going to TP in late because the Herald is actually already done. WE picked that one up, and now there's no reason to fight. They get the Herald and the TP out of XQW.
But that was fantastic, right? They used the pressure through Cube down the bot lane. He resets, so they think that he's going to start running towards the Rift Herald because he was spotted as I'm going to hold on to this.
Oh, YCX gets the dredge line on the Vampire. Hostile takeover comes in. Monki with that Impale. Whiffs on absolutely nobody, but it's actually the Chains of Corruption from Taeyoon that's again going to find a good pick onto Climber. The Crescent Guard going to drop soon, and all the damage will pour in. Cube finds the first kill, trying to press the tempo for Team WE. But once again, they won't be able to continue their tantrum of a fight. They only get 1 kill and get out.
Wow, that was actually so... It was a funny turn of events right there, because I think every ultimate under the sun just missed. But WE come out on top. I was just about to say, Cube resetting down the bot lane and threatening walking to that Herald got WE that win over there, but Cube actually reset and hold up because Monki's looking
There's one ult that wasn't used, Trouble. It's the equalizer that gets XQW cut down to size, and they don't care about those bot waves and everything Sasa's doing because they're knocking down the mid lane. Piercing arrow gonna set up the kill onto YCX, but he takes one with him. Karis dragged down by the anchor of the Nautilus. So it's another trade, and they're looking for more. Sasa run all the way up from bot side. He's hit this public execution. Taeyoon just Giga Chad stands still, and the ult completely whiffs. That was off by like 10 feet.
Hold up. He just dodged Renata R, Senna W, Zinzao W with 3 very, very simple moves by not moving. The best thing that you can do to dodge is to not dodge at all. No one's going to expect it. Talking about though, Team WE straight towards the Dragon. It will be the 3rd one for LGD, and Monki's already in.
These guys are just all about fighting. That's the cleanse out of Shaoye. Monki waiting for an impale angle. They have to be wary of XQW off to the side. They're starting to get flanked here. The Dragon drops below about 3,000. Another great weave as well from Karis, and Monki's flashing over it to hit the impale. He holds Climber in space and still spikes the Dragon down. You put Climber in, he's still not enough for the might of Monki.
If you don't try, you won't succeed. Team WE have been playing so damn aggressive since minute 1, and right here LGD had to slip it through the cracks. They cannot take any more of the aggression. Monki is actually finding targets, and thankfully Cube's coming through with that lead from the laning phase. He's reset towards that Rift Herald, his ultimate. That Rumble has been bailing them out. And let's watch this one more time. That was the replay from earlier on.
Don't look at Monki's ult.
Monki's
that hurt me to... Okay.
Completely misses. There was no one there. But then XQW commits, and he also misses, which means that Climber is then too deep. Gets stuck from Chain of Corruption, and by that time, Cube is there from that reset we mentioned earlier on and chases them down. And that's the next play we just watched for Team WE. They're going to brute force their way in, 4 versus 3. Azir comes around the turn onto him. And with Karis blocking pretty much the front to back from Team LGD and the wall going down, it's just very, very difficult for LGD to actually play properly the composition, which is a front to back.
And their composition that is just not at the point to really be able to compete damage-wise. You talked about the scaling factor. It's been nice for Shaoye, the one guy who's been able to resist the WE onslaught. He's at 2 items, but that's not enough for this Senna to be a real threat with the soul stacking still at about the 60 mark, and XQW just with that Nasher's Tooth. It's going to be a while before LGD's damage could ever really chunk through WE's health bars, even if they try in front to back.
I just don't know, the Shiv into Runans right there, it just seems like Senna's kind of like tickling Team WE.
Yeah.
And even though generally they're not the most tanky team in the world, like literally the only tanky member is going to be this Skarner who just built them like back-to-back to armor items in his inventory. It just feels like this is a Mosquito Senna build for the time being. And once you have 3 to 4 items, this is when like the Runans is really gonna start hitting hard with all the ricochet damage.
Again, there's not enough time, and Vampire looking to be proactive, even on the Renata. Flashes to hold Shaoye in place, but look at the Rippers defied from XQW. Taeyoon gets thrown into the meat grinder. Can Cube rescue this fight with the equalizer? No, because Sasa is trying to run wild on the backline, but runs out of gas in the tank. Shaoye's going to try to provide the healing potion for this squad, who's hitting from halfway across the fight. Shaoye's damage, they may be mosquito bites, but they're looking lethal into everybody that isn't Monki. The fadeaway rock throw won't find the trade kill, and now Shaoye's really got to minimize how much space he gives towards Monki. He's just going to let him walk out, but Monki hanging around in the mid lane needs to be a bit careful because Climber's waiting for him. Finally, some fight back here from LGD Trouble.
And I feel like it starts from Vampire, right? He overextends, he flashes forward to try and catch Shaoye, but his team is not behind him, and then LGD close in on him. Let's watch this one more time. He commits the flash for Shaoye, and then Taeyoon is in a really terrible spot. Just getting sandwiched from one side, from the Nautilus, then the Azir dives in, the TP's coming through, and this is an on-hit Varus. He needs time and space to sit down and put down the auto attack and the herd, and once your Varus is down, your all the other reliable damage is going to be Cube, because Karis has also been taking out the fight super early from the side of LGD, and then Shaoye gets to like auto attack everyone down, right? This was a very badly executed engage from WE that got instantly punished by LGD.
The sort of highs and lows of WE really showing out already in this game 1 with how aggressive their fighting style is. There is room to punish. The hope now for LGD is they've learned how to play around that aggressiveness and punish it from WE going forward here. They still are at a gold deficit, and they're still looking to buy time for their carries. We still are not at 2 items for XQW. And we're about to get beefier on that Senna build, as a Last Whisper has been completed, so likely going to be an LDR third for Shaoye as he gets to that 80 range point on the Senna soul stacking. Important to track. Ooh, handshake. Ooh. Hey, good dredge land there from YCX. The flash forward for Monki, though. Just like that, the snap engage and the hostile takeover. It's absolutely marvelous. Down go the LGD bottom lane.
Monki with a fantastic engage right there. Catchy Shaoye with the tip of the ult. Shaoye had flash. I was just about to say, remember the whole skirmish that we saw earlier? Shaoye didn't even have to flash or cleanse. He has his summoners available. He did get skill check right there from Monki. Doesn't press his flash on time. Gets stunned by the Skarner ult. Taken down, and now LGD. Climber a little bit too far forward.
Yeah, they're too late to this play. XQW tries to TP in. Starting to get that lethal tempo stacking a bit, but some very good patience here from WE. They actually decide against a fight for once, knowing they already won. They've got Otacon. They've got control of this bottom river, with Shaoye still yet to respawn. Now just gets back out on the map. Taeyoon's trying to burn through this Cloud Drake to see if they can get it done before all of LGD group up together and make the push into the river, but there goes the dragon. Now WE, they can try and scatter, but they do pick off Cube. Great dredge line comes through for YCX, and now Sasa gets to run wild on these solo lanes, just like the Ambessa needs to. So the dragon and the Otacon come at a bit of a price there, Trouble.
Yeah, and they should lose their mid lane tower for that as well. Unfortunately, there isn't necessarily a wave right there, but still they're going to need to reset from the time of Team WE. So Senna's pushing down that wave. There should be a mid lane tower for LGD right here. This is not the cleanest game we're seeing. You very rarely see Atakan go down and then you don't cash it out. And then you go straight towards that dragon. Neutral objective to neutral objective when you haven't aced a team is very difficult to do due to the timers and how long it takes you to take those objectives down. So let's watch this one more time. Monki looks at the opportunity right here. He'll flash in with his ult and hits Shaoye literally with the tip of the ult. Shaoye again, he got skill check right here with his flash, doesn't splash away, goes down. They'll take the attack, but they'll pay the price with their mid lane tower. after they secure the dragon as well. To appease for the dragons between the two teams, though.
Now that we have some calm on the Rift, to analyze what the next windows really look like. We got Baron spawning in 50 minutes. That's obviously the big one. But my question for you, Trouble, is are we confident that LGD have enough damage to compete in these fights through Senna and Azir by this point? Because I'm still a bit worried if any sort of Baron escapades break out here from WE off the spawn.
Oh, Lord Dom's also completed right here for Senna, and this
That's
is where
big.
she's going to start hurting, right?
Yeah.
3 items usually is what you want for hyper carries. 4 items, well, Senna's not your typical hyper carry, but she does have a lot of attack speed in her kit, right? Especially with Shiv and the Runans, and Last Whisper is going to be doing that much more hard work in terms of penetration. As XUW is just looking for something, but there's nothing on the bottom side of the map. There are no dragons. 5 seconds for the Baron to spawn, and both teams should be looking to regain control around that area. Primarily for LGD, look for vision inside your own jungle. It's literally pitch black for them right now. They have the Senna, they need to figure out a way where they can play the front to back by using the Azir and the Xin Zhao to zone so that Shaoye can stand there and auto-attack targets down.
This is just really messy from LGD. They're actively dropping a top wave. Karis did a really good job to shove that one into their tier 2 turret, so they sent XQW up there, and with Azir having to catch these waves, it's going to allow for those vision wars to sway a bit over towards WE as our awesome observers get to show just how dark the top side of that river is right now, and LGD are trying to push their way in, see if they can get some sight down, some vision through. You know Monkey's always looking for a fight. If he has his ult up, both teams are going to jockey in the mid lane. Step number 1 for any sort of big neutral take is going to be trying to control mid waves.
He's also got 200 stacks on the hard seal. He's got Thor mail available, so he can literally just walk up and get hit and not feel a thing. He's feeling a few things now.
He takes the dredge line, hits the Dawning Shadow to the face as well, so Monkey takes a huge lick of damage there. YCX does have to commit the dredge line as well, so you get both bottom lane ultimates, 2 of them out for LGD. If Monkey can heal up, you're feeling pretty confident about that from World Elite.
Yeah, I feel like unfortunately for LGD right here, they don't really have any control wards in their inventory. They actually committed this whole time to take control inside their own jungle. That right now that they took Monkey down and they have the numbers advantage on the map, unfortunately they have to go push out the side waves, and WE are going to take advantage of that and actually start the Baron themselves. I think it's more of a bait Baron to see if anyone is going to sort of take the bait and like TP in potentially, but that was a very long shot right there to try and get XQW or Sasi to TP into this very poor attempt of a Baron bait right there. But again, LGD really need to take control, that when they poke down, when they take huge ultimates or like flashes or anything from Team WE, when they have numbers advantage on the map, they need to move their line of vision a little bit more aggressively into Monkey's top side quadrant.
And they've, started the preliminary motions to do that a bit better. Markedly, Sasa gets down to the bot wave, gets that extended wave pushing in their favor. XQW crashes a top wave into that top lane tier 1. That's, kind of the woes that does sit up here for LGD. The lack of structures taken is kind of hurting them as we continue to try and jockey around for this Baron. Cloud Drake is up as well in about 30 seconds, but shouldn't be a huge priority for either one of these teams, as we are just dead even at 2 Drakes apiece. Gotta look towards Monkey. He started 90% of these fights here between both teams. Taeyoon, the damage factor behind it, as you can see, has the most gold of anyone on the Rift, also at a pretty big 3-item breakpoint of his own.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be really difficult due to the range that LGD carries have. The Azir, the Senna. I mean, Senna's range is just going to keep growing, right? So it becomes that much more progressively difficult for Monkey to find those huge engages unless he commits his flash. And even when he does, there's flash on XQW, there's flash on Shaoye. So they just have to be very alert in terms of where Monkey's positioning is and to be able to flash the initial engagement.
Oh, Vampire! Way too far up, has to burn the flash, needs the redemption healing, a window for LGD. They're not going to be able to get the flank wraparound they want, but they do get Monkey chunked down once more. That's the equalizer out of Cube, just to try and keep his team safe, because they're going to buddy up and try and jump their way out. But again, it's Monkey off to the side. It's keeping himself in a solo, has to use the Impale, trying to deliver Clamor to the rest of his team, but it's a way too desync. The hostile takeover, though, from Vampire hits onto 3 members, and Sasa is stunned to try to fly in. What a flash from Taeyoon, right over the Emperor's Divide, and now he's like a machine gun barreling down on all of LGD. Triple kill to Taeyoon, a wipe down from World Elite.
WE, I'm not gonna lie to you, that looked so grim. That was Shaoye's time to shine. They were all stuck in a choke point, but they kept overcommitting one by one, but no one could reach the virus over in the backline. I feel LGD just missed such a huge opportunity to turn the game around. No equalizer right here means that you don't necessarily care about getting stuck into this choke point, but XQW overcommits into the backline. The hostile takeover is really good, but look at Shaoye. He can play over the wall, but then the Ambessa goes too deep. XQW gets too far deep and gets one shot, and this is not how you buy time for your Senna. Everyone diving in to overcommit to low HP targets just gave W exactly what they wanted, you piling up in a very tight choke point.
And in a game, Trouble, where we already saw a bit of over-aggression from Vampire, you know, the Vampire of early on in Split 2, right? Just throwing caution to the wind. That was the staple Vampire fight that have gotten so many people hyped about this player, calling it such a big turnaround for him in this split. He plays patiently, and that hostile takeover, maybe also what saves so many of those health bars. That combined with Taeyoon, the rock of this bottom lane and all of WE, this is what has gotten people excited about WE and why they have more wins than many expected, and they're looking for their first win of the play-in tournament as Vampire's hostile takeover locks up YCX as the Baron Siege continues to barrel in to the LGD base.
Yeah, and Karis is right here. He's going to commit his ultimate just to pop them out of the tower
Shaoye,
range.
he's caught. He's stuck. He's on top of the equalizer. He nearly burns down to the last of it. But that's going to force him back to base and should mean the base soon to be broken open by these Baroned up cannon minions.
I'm just going to say he has Spheres of Steel, because I can't say anything else, because he did have Flash, but he didn't commit onto it, and Monki and crew are just charging in with the last ticks of the Baron buff right there. 1 minute remaining. They have gotten their first inhibitor tower down the bot side of the map, and LGD. There's just so much to be expected, particularly from this game. They've got the scaling, they've got the extra kills onto Senna in the early game. I just expect them to be able to play more of the front to back that we're looking for them to play, and I feel like they have been very, very impatient in these fights, not buying time for Shaoye, and I feel like the next fight is most likely going to be the last chance right here, as a lot of very crucial items are coming through that are going to make the game much harder. You know, Jack Shaw and Taeyoon, good luck killing him. The Hourglass over to Cube on that Rumble as well. So you're going to have to try extra hard to deal extra damage to take these targets down from the side of Team WE. And right now you're losing a lot of that vision inside your own jungle as well. LGD are going to need a miraculous fight where Shaoye, I don't know, goes above and beyond on that Senna now. Very, very close to the fourth item as well. Can they make it before the game is over?
He's also reaching 120 on the soul stacking. So by this point, once he gets that IE done as the fourth item, he really should have a ton of crit chance, if not near 100%, I have to feel, with the new stacking system for the souls. Trying to get control of this bot wave. XQW's poured a lot of attention in there. He's going to recall now. They're going to sacrifice more structures for that bot lane push. Down goes the mid inhibitor turret alongside its inhibitor as well. So 2 waves of supers coming through here. And if you thought Trouble, if we were worried about Monki's aggressive diving in the early game on a Skarner, I mean, he's so tanky. Are we even worried anymore?
Okay, I'll give you the positives here, all right? That last tower cannot go down unless they've got pressure on the other two. That bot lane wave is pushed way past the midpoint. YCX, I'm not sure what's happening there. Monki's in.
Oh, Monki's in, and he impales 2. Climber gets caught in the impale. Hostile takeover hits both members that Monki held up, and again, I hyped it up. Monki's so tanky, he just walks away from all of LGD, smirking with the kill from found onto YCX.
Okay, I was about to say the positive part is bot lane wave is not pushing yet, as Monki is looking at Climber right there, not gonna find him. And this means that 2 lanes are going to be pushing in with a lot of minions. Team WE are going to need another Baron to pressure in, which means Infinity Edge is going to get completed by that time from Senna. That's a 4-item Senna that you've got right here. You've got Morpho Mortius onto the Ambessa. You've got Guardian Angel onto Zinza. I was maybe expecting the Seekers to come through from Azir as well. So that is a very, very durable side of LGD that's going to come through from all that farming on those creeps that we're seeing right here. But as I was about to say that, YCX kind of overstepped right there. We saw the skirmish commence. This is one of the strongest versions of Senna we're going to see. 129 souls. You got 4 items. Infinity Edge in the pocket. You actually hurt.
hurt anybody that comes walking up, but it needs time. It needs to soften up some of these targets before LGD can full send with Climber Zinzao and this Mbessa flying through for the front flank. You need to buy time and not panic if you're LGD. And it's hard not to panic, Trouble, with the current game state they're in. We are still in one final fight. We'll give WE the 1-0 edge in this best of 5.
Yeah, and as you can see, Team WE, they're already scouting around the Baron area. 40 seconds. We mentioned how to finish the game. Unless they get a miraculous pick right here onto LGD or LGD overextends, they're going to need another Baron to come through right here. In 30 seconds, they're going to just barrage the minion waves from bot lane and mid lane over in the base of LGD. Keep them busy, take full control, maybe grab the soul for themselves. It's going to be 4 Cloud Souls as they prepare in a Fnatic bush. Not so much of a Fnatic bush. Vampire's out of the bush, so it doesn't count, I guess. But yeah, complete control into LGD's jungle will most likely guarantee them both objectives here.
Cloud Soul onto the now 4.5 tank item Skarner. Again, Monki was running under turrets, level 3, with no items. Now, he has a Cloud Soul, and he has a health bar that it's kind of hard to even read by this point with how much Heartsteel stacks he's got. LGD, it feels almost impossible to deal with the Skarner, so do you then start to hope for the heroics of an XQW flank with an Emperor's Divide, or most importantly, Sasa just hitting these public executions? We're going to have to find out now, Trouble. The Baron's being started up by WE.
Yeah, and I think LGD are doing the right move right here. You have to push through that mid lane, push the wave, and let's see if XQW can make the miraculous play with the Azir.
They're just too late for the Baron at least. Can they try for the fight after? Monki's going to fly into the face of YCX again. This guy just ignores damage. But maybe XQW finally has enough to really churn and burn through him. Climber burns the Crescent Guard, but they force Shaoye way back in the fight at the very bottom. Sasa still has that public execution, and Taeyoon is actually sectioned off from the rest of his team, passed completely incorrectly. But Ghost is one hell of a way to save himself, and the Baron take comes a bit anticlimactic, Trouble. No fighting actually amounts from it.
Yeah, the real MVP right here was Karis, seeing Shaoye completely out of position, blocking him off with the wall, which means Monki doesn't end up going down. Majority of the damage is on Shaoye. Shaoye is not there. There's no damage,
Monki.
but he's here now.
Half HP, doesn't care, ever aggressive, confident with his big-time Varus behind him, just chasing down one after another. Handshake lands on a YCX, but Monki goes over the wall, gets the double impale. It's the Monki highlight show again. Just when you think he's down, he pops over the wall, executes your whole team, and takes the series lead. Monki masterclass, Team WE up 1-0.
Team WE giving us flashbacks of the first series when groups Nirvana and Ascent were decided between the two teams. And I just have to remind everyone, LGD was ahead in this series. They were winning the game, and then WE turned the game around with a late game team fight right there. And even though it wasn't like a late game team fight right here, I feel like WE have a lot of ironing down to do for that early game. I feel like the constant aggression and pressure, the kills they gave away, the control they gave away to a team that supposedly scales into the late game was actually kind of scary. Like, I was looking at Azir and Senna, I'm like, you dudes are in a really good spot to carry that late game, but as LGD could just not get their team fights together.
That Trouble definitely looked like a game where both teams might have been off for a month on vacation. A lot. You put it well with the cleaning up. WE, nonetheless, I mean, this is the reliable way that they've won some series against the teams below them in the standings, which they were almost undefeated against. Was they are just so confident when they pick fighting-based comps like this, and Monki leading the way, that they have hands checked a lot of those teams. And well, LGD out of Group Nirvana, it does work for this game one, and well, it is still on LGD to kind of shut them down from just blowing them out of the water, just confidently going blow for blow. And that's a hard question to answer for this LGD team.
Okay, I'm just gonna say that was a very entertaining game number one.
Oh, totally.
For games 2 and 3 specifically, because I said it was going to be a 3-0 as I go into cat despair mode again. I'm really sorry about this, guys. I can't control the sun outside. I feel like even though it was very entertaining, I feel like both teams really need to get it together, particularly for LGD. If you are going to be drafting for a late game composition, look at what your early game pieces are. I feel like the fact that Monki consistently kept attacking the bot side didn't allow Climber to play towards the Mbessa, to play maybe towards the Azir, to punish the flash that they took off of Cube early on onto that Rumble, right? I feel like it was the Rumble that brought Team WE back into the game. The resets, walking into the fights, the equalizers, getting that kill, the rocket bell that could reach the targets. I feel like Cube was kind of the unsung hero of that early game that got brought back for Team WE, and that's because Climber was just too busy guarding that bot lane that he couldn't capitalize on the early flash that he took over on the top side of the map.
The synopsis really feels like LGD in the early game, way too reactionary, way too protective, and then once they did try and get aggressive on the map and force some of these fights, Trouble, they were never in great positions to do so.
I mean, I'm going to be very honest. I thought Azir was going to have less damage than Nautilus here. I feel like I expected way more from XQW. But like, again, the fights were so short from the side of LGD. They just kept overcommitting that I feel like had they played a proper front to back, had Zinzao bot time, Nautilus bot time, and Bessa diving in the background at the right moments, like I truly did believe that that LGD draft could turn things around. But I feel like, again, cherry on top, Monki, I feel like, you know, fail enough and you will eventually learn and succeed. And I mean, he dived on us so many times. Hey, he got majority of them right. You can't go wrong with that.
And most importantly, Trouble, he also got a ton of Heartsteel stacks, which is the most important thing to chase his Skarner.
That's why he was doing it. There you go.
Yeah. I mean, you see his health bar by the end of that game? I mean, he was standing in front of a 3-item Azir. Yeah, he was scaling. I mean, he stood in front of a 3-item Azir and a Senna and was just like, we'll brush it off. We're seeing these replays. You'll see Monkey's health bar just grow and grow. But you know, despite how messy of a game this was from also WE, they still stylistically are in form with how they want to win games. It's Monki starting off the big plays, and guys like Taeyoon and Vampire always in positions to bring home the fights. That's how WE had 7 wins in Group Ascend, and it's good to see it carried over to the play-ins after a shorter break for them.
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly really fun to see how they just brute force fights all the time, right? But I feel like playing against, again, LGD, you might get forgiven and you might be able to close out games like they did right here, but we have seen cases of WE keep doing that to teams like Top Esports, to teams like IG, to teams like AL, and it just, like, they're gonna chop your hand off and then they're gonna take the rest of your body throughout the game as well, right? So that's why I want to see a more sort of controlled aggression coming from Team WE, because we know that Monki is one of the most aggressive junglers that we have in the league, right? We know that he's the moving gear for the side of Team WE, but we need more calculated ganks, and I feel like they were too fixated early on having that Senna pinned down, not allowing any stacks to go through. That I feel like, look at this, in the end, they just didn't have to, right? Like, Taeyoon played a fantastic Varus later on. He scaled, he was playing Lethal Tempo, he did have the damage, and he pulled through. And this was one of the most heartbreaking fights, particularly for me. I thought this was the time where LGD were going to turn this around, and they just kept overcommitting one by one in, didn't buy time for Shaoye, couldn't put down the damage.
I mean, right on time. This is the clip I'm talking about. Yeah, I'm just chilling. I've got 2 guys impaled. I got 3 others whacking on me. I'm all right, guys. I'm just going to walk out of this. We got our kill? All right, I'm going to walk out. That's just how tanky Monki was in this game. But I'm glad you mentioned Taeyoon, as we do kind of pivot into this conversation, Trouble, to close out Game 1. Player of the game. Taeyoon, masterful fight towards Baron when it got close, but are you giving a big old POG over to Monki in this one overall?
Yeah. I think it would have to be Monki.
Yeah.
I mean, there were a few whoopsies in the early game. I feel like maybe this is why there's a case of maybe Taeyoon taking the MVP right there, because I felt like he was more stable from the early until the late, right? His team fighting positioning was phenomenal, yeah, and I feel like Monki kept like over-forcing the early game. But on the other side, I feel like without Monki here, without over-forcing, without trying always to get to that backline, flashing forward, committing flashes, committing ultimates, taking flashes, taking ultimates, I feel like the fights would not have looked the same. So I feel like there's a case for either of them to actually get the MVP here.
As the AD carry player here on this cast,
here we go. Okay.
I agree with you. I 100% agree with you. Taeyoon does not get to be this big of a monster if Monki doesn't just... simple way to put it is like, buy this much space. You call it with like the flashes, just being a nuisance at the front line. It's 100% should be Monki here, because it's hard. Marksman, it can be really easy to just kind of fire in line.
Wait, I thought you were going to be biased.
I know. I
totally baited you.
I know. I totally bamboozled you.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, 100%. Hey, you know, I will be the first one to champion Marksman when they deserve the player of the games for flashy plays, but this was not one of them outside that one fight from Taeyoon. And it looks like the voters agree with us. Monki grabs player of the game. That is the 11th one for a guy that did not start.
96%.
Yeah,
Kill
96% kill participation. He has 11 player of the games, and this guy was not playing for WE all of 2025 so far. If that doesn't excite you for the future of junglers in the LPL, I don't know what will. But you know what makes me not excited, Trouble, but grateful? That is our Coffee and YouTube subscribers. We're extremely thankful for both of those camps. You guys help level up the show you are getting to watch right in front of us now. A lot of the additional payments go into upgrading the broadcast, but a huge bulk of it goes to paying on-air talent like myself and Trouble here. Subscribe to our Coffee. It is linked in the chat below. You unlock perks like early access for content and the awesome ability to ask unique interview questions. Shout out Patty that has the on-site interviews here for the unofficial LPL English broadcast. So thank you again to our Coffee and YouTube subscribers. We are going into our first intermission of the night. On the other side, we're going to hear from one of our other lovely sponsors and get back into the nitty-gritty to see if LGD have a quick response to WE after they punch them in the mouth to take a 1-0 lead in this play-in.